This is thrilling. You know, AFFRM, we've never had anything like this, kind of a retrospective, you know, a look back after 2 years, just kind of examining what we've done. It's a kind of just definitely a grassroots effort. I call it a farmer's market to Hollywood supermarket.
Let me tell you about it. Let me tell you about it. Let me tell you about it. Join the crowd. Lights, camera, action, it's on. New black film revolution born. Movers, shakers, big and little filmmakers. Let's make a movie today, see where it take us. Halle Berry, Denzel, and Jamie. Terrence Howard, Mike D, and Spike Lee. Brand new filmmaker born every day. Put a camera in his hand and let him lead the way. Let me get an Oscar, let me get an Emmy. Reelblack woke up.
You're second generation. Joshua Tree generation. Nothing wrong with that. How do I look?
My aunt, she died, so that's why I have to move. You ready? You know, the movers will load everything, and I still got some pickups. Did you do anything?
When you guys moved here, I lost track of all of her stuff.
Are you looking for something in particular?
No, just everything in general.
Why didn't you ever come here?
You're the one who left this relationship. You're the one who left our home, our life, without any discussion.
What is there to discuss when someone is dying?
There are things to discuss.
Whatever she had, whatever it was, papers, pictures, tapes, it's my legacy and my kid's legacy, not yours. I'm the daughter, you're the niece. Remember that. Like my dark knight in shining armor.
I'm with that.
Why'd Grand and Ma fight so much?
They were just different.
So why'd you two get along so good?
Because I wanted to be just like her. You know, part of me really wants to get out of here. And part of me doesn't want to go.
Hey, we've just seen a clip from Ava DuVernay's feature film debut, I Will Follow, which was released in March 2011 in theaters by a company called AFFRM, which stands for the African American Film Festival Releasing Movement. I'm Mike D., the founder of Reelblack.
And I'm Dr. Yaba Blay, professor of Africana Studies. You should know that Ava DuVernay, the director of I Will Follow, is the first African American woman to win Best Director at the Sundance Film Festival. And we're pleased to have Ava, along with the star of her new film, Middle of Nowhere, Emayatzty Corinealdi, with us here today.
For the next hour, we'll share the accomplishments of AFFRM and talk to these talented young women, and also get a sneak preview of the latest release, which hits theaters on October 12th.
Thank you to AFFRM. It's very important that this is the third theatrical release from AFFRM. AFFRM is so crucial and very, very important for black cinema, for black art house cinema. Is really crucial because often all we see is all the blockbusters and all these young independent movies never get to be seen or never get any distribution, and the importance of AFFRM is so long overdue.
What makes Ava unique? Well, I've been thinking a lot about this, and because I've been doing a piece about Ava, and I was trying to, describe who she is and what she is without sounding like a total fangirl, because I think Ava is one of these women filmmakers who's changing the world and changing how the culture sees art by women, art by African Americans, and I kept on thinking about it and I couldn't get it down to a sentence. And then I was rewatching Ava's My Mic Sounds Nice. She did it's a BET documentary about women in hip hop. And at one point, Missy Elliott is talking about Queen Latifah and how Queen Latifah just cleared the path for other women in hip hop. And she said, you know, she took her place, she made her space. And that's what Ava does. But not only does she take her space and make her place for herself, she does it for other African American artists. And that's what's so great about her.
Show us some Philly love for Ava DuVernay. Welcome to Philly.
Hi, thank you. Thank you.
Very excited to have you here.
Thank you.
So the first question I want to ask you is, how does a little black girl straight out of Compton, right, grow up to be the first African American woman to win Best Director at Sundance?
Well, first of all, let me say that this is thrilling. You know, AFFRM, we've never had anything like this, kind of a retrospective, you know, a look back after 2 years, just kind of examining what we've done. It's a kind of just definitely a grassroots effort. I call it a farmer's market to Hollywood supermarket. And one of our main farmers right here, Mike D, who's really cultivated almost, you know, everything, has been an architect of everything that's happened in Philly. So with an amazing group of supporters over the last 3 releases, now we're in our 4th film. Seems like this one, it's really kind of growing in terms
really,
of the support in the community.
It's definitely come together. Like I think that, yeah, I mean, all the pieces are coming together in such a great way. Like from I Will Follow, it definitely hit with a bang. Right. But each film, we've learned a little bit. We've gained more traction in terms of partners and support. And now, you know, we not only have a great film, but an award-winning film. But I think it's something that's really going to take us to the next level. I think we're about to experience a quantum leap.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's really all about the support from people who really share the same vision about black cinema and the importance of the black cinematic image. And so when you ask me how do I go from one place to another, it's always been really powered by family, you know, people that have supported, people who have believed. And, you know, I really feel like AFFRM is a family, amazing, you know, people from all around the country who take time off work, take away their personal time. Both of you here taking your personal time, people in this audience, the AFFRM Mavericks, Nina Lirespect, so many people here. But what's happening here is happening in Seattle, in Los Angeles, in DC, in Atlanta. I mean, to think that this kind of energy is, you know, multiplied across all of our major cities. And I think that there is a way to build a house for ourselves and our images, as opposed to kind of knocking on someone else's door and asking to be let in. It's really kind of galvanizing, jaw-dropping idea. And when you see it kind of happening, coming to fruition in spaces like this, it's really amazing.
How did you come up with the concept of AFFRM? I mean, for those who don't know, can you explain a little bit of what AFFRM means, and then how did it come about?
Yeah, AFFRM is the African American Film Festival Releasing Movement. And basically it was collaborative of like-minded individuals from all around the country that I'd come across who kind of decided together that we could release films without permission. You know, really kind of functioning as true artists and truly independent. Now, independent film has really come to mean a handful of companies that are controlling independent images. And you have more and more people outside of the black community that have been, you know, in the DIY movement for quite some time. And so we kind of took it a step further and a DIT, doing it together. And instead of doing it yourself, we do it as a group. We release films, we market them, we promote them, we make them, and it's just a new way to approach cinema.
So talk to us a little bit about how, I guess, AFFRM helps to counteract, if you will, some of the challenges that black filmmakers may be facing. So for example, in recent media, I know you've seen there's been some controversy over some color-struck casting.
Right up your alley.
Right?
She's the doctor of color. Yes, yes.
Dr. Blackness, yes.
Yes.
Zoe Saldana being cast as Nina Simone,
Yeah.
Jacqueline Fleming being cast as Harriet Tubman, and this kind of kickback, like, well, of course, it's white directors. They are not really interested in telling our stories. But part of me wants to question whether or not black filmmakers are interested in telling our stories as well, because it's Nina Simone, right? Like, why hasn't there already been a film about her life? And part of the answers that I keep getting is funding. Black filmmakers don't get the kind of funding that white filmmakers do. Is money the only obstacle?
Well, in those particular instances, it is money. The casting is tied to the financing. The financing is tied to the casting. Cynthia Mort, the director of that, the white woman director of that, cannot get the money for Nina Simone unless she has an actor of note, an A-list actor that can, trigger her money. Now, the decisions and the integrity, that's in play or not in play by some of the decisions that are being made are being questioned. But ultimately, it's a money issue. I don't know if the woman started out saying, this person is right, if she had her druthers on budget. But maybe she did. I don't know. I don't know who she is. I think with me, there's so many films that are being kind of approached about black life by people who aren't black. That I think that's really, whether it's Django Unchained or Beasts of the Southern Wild or Nina Simone. And that's one perspective of who we are, but it is an interpretation, not a reflection. It's not reality, and I think that's why we have to support black filmmakers, black women filmmakers. I mean, the idea that films are being made about black women and girls by people who are not black women and girls, and it's like really interesting to take a step back and say, well, what is that I'm watching? It's an interpretation of us based on caricatures, based on people that may not even actually have black women in their lives. So where is that coming from? Where are you getting these stories? And so, not to say it's not valid, but it's definitely something to think about when we walk in to a film and to understand the power of film. I mean, film it affects the way we see ourselves and the way that we're seen. And so who's controlling these images, who's creating these images? I don't think it's combative to ask those questions, and yet we as kind of a black community haven't created enough of a dialogue, a forum to get past reactionary conversation about casting and things to get to like the real heart and core of what's going on with our images, So, yeah, I mean, I think, color becomes tied into a lot of things that are beyond the control of regular people who are consuming these images, It's money, it's politics, and the more that we can put film back into the hands of regular folk, and the more that we can empower black filmmakers to make their own films without permission, the more we'll see the things we want to see.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, to me, AFFRM is clearly about empowerment, first and foremost. And I think that's really been the key to the movement aspect of African American Film Festival releasing movement, that people really see in the films that we've chosen to release a sense of an alternative or whatever. Like, in your opinion, like, what defines an AFFRM film, the films that we've seen so far, the films that you make, and the films that you want to continue to make?
I mean, quality black independent films. I don't want to be the arbiter of any kind of taste. We decide on the films together as a group, all of the AFFRM leaders. So Mike D is our Philly leader. We have a Seattle leader, Atlanta leader, DC leader, New York leaders, and all of us by committee talk about films that we like, recommend films, convince each other that this film is dope, watch it again, did you see this part, debate it, and decide what we're going to release as a group. And it's a really kind of beautiful process, I think. And I think what we've chosen are just films that have a very distinct voice. They really don't have a lot in common, except that they are the singular vision of a black independent filmmaker, and a filmmaker that was not influenced by money issues or politics or a studio saying, what about this? Just someone who said, this is the story I want to tell, and I'm telling it, and told it well. And I think that's the through line in what we've chosen so far in terms of Kinyarwanda and Russell City. I mean, my films are released through AFFRM. I mean, I don't know. Because they have to be. Because how's it going to look that I, run a distribution collaborative and my films aren't put through? I mean, there were questions when I went to Sundance about, you're at Sundance, you're winning the Sundance Award. Don't you want to be with a fancy studio? And we had offers, but it just seemed insane to, why would I go over there when I can do it myself?
Right.
So yeah, it's. I think that's been a through line, is kind of a vision, a filmmakers with vision.
Right. So let's talk about you as a director, as the filmmaker, and these stories. You talked a lot about film being a reflection of our lives in a particular way, and I've seen I Will Follow, seen Middle of Nowhere, and I think I see some interesting connections and strands. Well, it just seems like both stories, there's this interplay of love and loss, family, struggle, coping, or the inability to do so, and how people find themselves in that space of loss. So, am I right?
You got it exactly right. I mean, yeah.
So I was going to ask you, what types of stories do you like to tell, and how did you come to both of these? They're powerful personal stories in a certain way, right?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, it's a great kind of look at what I've been doing as a filmmaker. I was listening to a filmmaker, Paul Thomas Anderson, who's like the belle of the ball in the filmmaking world. He has a new film out called The Master, and he was talking to someone about the fact that he feels like he's telling the same story over and over in different films because he's not finished exploring the themes from Boogie Nights to Magnolia to The Master. When you look at it, it's a lot about father-son relationships and just kind of the same things that he's looking at. And, I was like, okay, so that's okay to do because that's what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I think from I Will Follow to Middle of Nowhere, definitely it is about, what happens when we lose the love that anchors us. How does that change our DNA? How does it change the way we perceive ourselves, our identity, when the person or thing that we were most connected to is removed? And so in I Will Follow, the separation was, through a death.
Right.
And in Middle of Nowhere, it's through incarceration. But at the core of the story, I found myself, not even consciously, but later saying, wow, this is like the same gritty underneath stuff. Like if I was lying on a therapist table, they'd be like, this is the same thing you're doing. So yeah, I mean, that must be what I'm interested in, is just really, and I think more broadly, and consciously, I know that I'm interested in the interior lives of Black people, specifically Black women, a multifaceted, very nuanced view of our emotional life. I don't feel like it should be radical to see Black people thinking in a movie. And so, some reviews that we've gotten on Middle of Nowhere out of Sundance were like, it's too much space, people sitting around thinking. It's like, wow, I can name like 9 films that don't have Black women in it that people are thinking, but or that have quiet spaces. And I think that it's, not subversive. It just hasn't been done a lot in the mainstream space, but it's being done a lot in the independent space. There are amazing filmmakers out there. I mean, Dee Reese, Barry Jenkins, Dennis George, Rajado Ernesto Green, Alec Brown, Andrew Dosimo, we got some new sisters, a sister just directed a film in 8 days in New York City. 8 days, a feature. Nefertiti Nguvu, you've got Terrence Nance, you've got, really, really Matthew Cherry, amazing Black independent filmmakers who are in the first or second film right now, exploring all of the areas that studio films won't explore. And so, it's happening, it's vibrant. I think AFFRM, just desires to be a champion for those voices. And I think we've been, kind of making our way so far.
Absolutely. What comes to mind, like you had a past life before you started making films. You spent 10 years as a publicist, promoting other people's work. Can you just give us a little insight, a little bit of time, into like how that becoming, putting your 10,000 hours in on that has influenced the types of movies you choose to tell, the way you choose to tell them, and just taking on that extra mantle of distribution as well as just making the films.
Right. Well, I think in this day, in 2012, the independent filmmaker has to be somewhat entrepreneurial. I mean, we're not in a place right now where you can make a film and Harvey Weinstein's going to swoop in and give you a 3-picture deal. I mean, it just doesn't happen. There was a point in independent film's life in the early 90s where, there were these Cinderella stories happening. They still happen, but they really don't happen for people of color. And so, so I think that, you know, not just people of color, but LGBT people and women, and, you know, I mean, if you think, you know, Latinos and Black filmmakers have it bad, I mean, think about Native filmmakers. When was the last time you saw a Native film? So it's really about making our films and seeing it through to fruition, to the end, and the end being sharing it with an audience. And so I'm happy that my past life as a publicist for things like Dreamgirls and Girlfriends and Collateral and the help in Invictus has helped us be able to figure out how we can do it ourselves.
Do you, I mean, before you write your scripts, do you take into consideration the market for a film?
I don't know why I don't. I mean, it seems like I should. But I mean, marketing tenets, if I use my marketing tenets in my marketing kind of expertise, then I probably wouldn't have cast Emayatzty Corinealdi. But my heart as a filmmaker had to cast Emayatzty Corinealdi. Marketing mind would have said cast someone who I could put on a poster and everyone will come. As a filmmaker, I had to cast, you know, an actress of superior quality and, you know, who just had chops that like I'd never seen. So that luckily for me, they're separate. And so when I do have a film like I Will Follow, who told you to go make a movie about death? Not the marketer, but you did it. And so thankfully the marketer can figure out how to make it work. But it doesn't start that way.
So Emmy is here, but one last question. What, so far, we're 19 months in, what's been the biggest challenge for a firm to the state?
We work without a budget, and it's really a hard way to work. We're not the only ones doing it, but we have no funding, we have no financial support by anyone other than the people who buy tickets. So it's really important that people buy tickets so that we can continue.
Okay, well, you're doing a first-class job. I mean, we all are together in supporting this and tuning in. We're going to take a look at the trailer for Middle of Nowhere, and we'll be back with the star of that film, Emayatzty Corinealdi.
I'm calling regarding inmate number P48057, North Hall Level D, Derek J. Murray. My registrant number is 051954.
Can you even believe it? I can't believe it. 10 months early.
It's good news.
It's great news. Baby, you got everything going for you. You're coming home. We are somewhere in between, in a middle place.
How is he? He's fine. Oh, could you tell Mr. Fine I need money?
I'm trying. We're trying.
Let's go out, Rube.
Can't, Pop. Want to see Uncle Derek on the big ship.
I don't want you to stop from me, baby.
You are me, remember?
Hey.
Hey.
How's your day going?
From the fire we made love.
He's going through a tough time.
He's going through a tough time? I see.
I thought that was you. I'm Brian.
Keep those brown eyes wide open for
I don't know what's gonna happen next.
I'm gonna try to be what's happening next.
deep water. Stay.
It'll be better. I promise.
He's a convicted felon.
Please don't patronize me, sir.
It's not supposed to be like this.
He's doing good time. There's a chance.
You can't see 2 feet in front of you.
I missed you. We got something, don't we?
Next case, Derek Murray.
The past has disappeared, and the future, it doesn't exist until we get there.
We are joined by Emayatzty Corinealdi, who is the star of Middle of Nowhere. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you here.
That's awesome. Say your name again.
Emayatzty Corinealdi.
Remember that. I mean, I think we're blessed to have you here. I mean, we're seeing the dawning of a fantastic career. I mean, already the reviews and everything have been fantastic. As far as like just a new face for African American film and warranted. For those who don't know, have only seen snippets, like tell us about Ruby and Middle of Nowhere.
Ruby is a woman who's on a journey of self-discovery, figuring out who she is now as a result of her life changing. You know, her husband is now incarcerated, and so she's forced to figure out who she is as a woman as a result of her anchor being, you know, taken away from her. So she's trying to discover and rediscover who she is, what she likes, what she doesn't like. And while she's on this journey, she's discovering things about herself that she maybe didn't even know that was still there, possibly.
That's awesome. Well, let me just ask. So, I mean, how does Ava discover you? I'm just curious. I mean, she was saying earlier, you know, after I Will Follow, there are a lot of people that were looking to play Ruby.
Absolutely. You know, the way I came to the film was just through an audition. I didn't know Ava personally. It was just knowing her work through I Will Follow. And so it was through an audition, and I initially was auditioning for the role of the sister, Rosie. And so when I got in for the audition, and the casting director, Aisha Coley, she says, you know, I think you should read for this part, which was the role of Ruby. And prior to the audition, I'd read the script and said, you know, oh, this Ruby is amazing, but I'm sure that's already cast with someone, you know, so I didn't even think of it as a possibility. So when she asked me to come back in and read as her, I said, okay, this is my shot. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it.
Good. Now we're all up here singing Ava's praises. Oh, she's so great, Sundance. But what does she like to work with? As
cut the cameras for this. Ava is just as genuine, sincere, beautiful, giving, compassionate, and loving as you see right here. Everything that's right here is what she is. I've asked myself, you know, well, Emayatzy, do you think that this, on the rest of your journey, you know, will you continue to have people who are like this, directors who are like this? And I would hope so. You know, I really do. I realize the rarity in it, you know, the blessing in it. But Ava is an amazing woman. She's very giving. Just as a director strictly, she has her vision, she has her goals and everything in mind for the script, for the character, but yet she's open, you know, to your ideas, to your thoughts, to seeing your take on the character, even though she's sat with these characters for years now, you know, so she has in her mind how it should be, but she was very open to what I had to say and what I had to offer, and so that was wonderful.
Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, Ava, I mean, in addition to Emayatzy, you have an amazing cast for this movie, filled with great performances. I mean, can you just share with folks who else is in the film and what's like to work with them?
Yeah, well, maybe we can tell them about it together. She has a husband. This is Ruby, plays Ruby, and she has a husband who is not a bad guy.
No.
He's made some bad choices. And the question is, you know, is he still deserving of love? Is he still deserving of loyalty? And so that's part of what we explore through their relationship. And he's played by
Omari Hardwick, ladies.
Now I just want to interrupt.
Yeah, okay, yes. Mike, excuse us, Mike.
Let me interrupt because not only do you have one fine, beautiful black man at your disposal, but you have two.
Yes, I do.
So what was it like to work alongside Omari Hardwick and David Oyelowo?
It was wonderful. I mean, first of all, both of those men are gentlemen. You know, they're very much so gentlemen, and they are great actors. You know, and then they're just great people. They were great to be around. You know, and so it just made for a very relaxing process. You know, everything was very organic in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also Lorraine Toussaint was an amazing, amazing actor. You know, you look at, you know, so many of the sisters who are just so accomplished. We were just talking about Tyra Farrell, and wondering where she was, you know, wondering where some of these actresses of a certain age, you know, just so much power behind their craft. Where are they? Where are the roles for our older sisters? And so, yeah, this part for Lorraine, we were just so pleased that she agreed to come out and play with us, and she just, I mean, just chews the scenery out, puts hot sauce on it, and just eats it like this. She's so good in the film. And then Edwina Finley plays Rosie, Ruby's sister, and just a really lovely ensemble of people. Sharon Lawrence.
Yeah.
You'll see faces that you know, and hopefully in ways that you've never seen them before.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is your first big starring role.
Yeah,
in a
this
feature
is my
film.
first lead in a feature.
Your second narrative feature, and already this film has gotten all kinds of acclaim. I mean, it premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in January 2012. I mean, what's the ride been like? I mean, you won Sundance, and now you just came back from Urban World, and before that Toronto, and now you're here in Philly. I mean, what's it like?
It's like, really it sounds cliche, but it's really like a fairy tale. It's like, this is the ideal coming out, the ideal starting point, honestly, for an actor, I believe, So for it to have happened to me with her, with this film, all I could do is really just thank God for it. I know from where it came. So it's really been like a fairy tale.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, from Sundance to our gala at LA Film Fest to the Toronto Film Festival, which was amazing to be invited there, and then to Urban World, which is a great New York premiere that we had just a couple of nights ago. It's really all powered by the hard work of the people of AFFRM.
Yeah.
I mean, the film is having this kind of life and this journey with the knowledge that we are releasing it with our own hands on October 12th. It's the faith, it's the hard work, it's the intention, it's the passion of, people like Stephanie, people like Nina, people who are saying this matters, these films matter, these images matter, what we're doing with this matters, this is legacy that we're building. And this is not just one film, this is a movement to ensure that we are seeing what we want to see in the way that we want to see it. We're not going to wait for it to be given to us. We're going to create it ourselves. And so the ride has been even sweeter because I know that I have all of these people riding with us and for us, and it's for a reason. You know what I mean? The success of Middle of Nowhere. We've had, I think every AFFRM film is successful because it's a miracle that we get it done. But they haven't been financial successes. One out of the three so far has, even broken even, really. And so, we just are trying to build this and grow it so that it can be something sustainable. You know what I mean? We don't want this to be one of those things, back in 2011, 2012, they did this for a little while. It's really like, how can we really create this so that it's Motown, or it's, you know what I mean? It's something that, you can look at a canon of work by a bunch of filmmakers that came through this, and why can't we have a Harlem Renaissance? You know what I mean? Why can't we do it? I think we can. We just have to give ourselves permission and back it up with the passion.
So, Emmy, from an actor's perspective, what do you think the benefit of AFFRM is? Is it a different experience working with an Ava, or just knowing that this work is going to be a part of this collaborative?
Absolutely. I mean, this energy, just being here in Philly today, being in New York yesterday, the energy of everyone and their excitement for this film, for AFFRM, for Ava, for me, it's just been beautiful. It really has been, so I believe for me as an actor, it only raises the awareness, of the projects that are worthy of this kind of praise, acclaim, support, and these are the kinds of things I want to do. I want to continue on this path, There's something that's much more heartfelt, I think, when you have people around you just keeping you up, It's been really wonderful. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I should just point out that there is an AFFRM website.
Yep.
And there's Twitter.
Yeah, we've got a robust community on Facebook. It's facebook.com/AFFRM. We have no I in our AFFRM, no I in team. kind of cheesy, but it's the way you can remember it. It's AFFRM, and we've got Twitter game going, we've got our Pinterest game going, we've got our Instagram game going, and we've got affirm.com as well. So we just invite people to stay in touch with us, and I'm on Twitter, Emayatzy's on Twitter. You know, we just, it's all about connection and hearing about what other filmmakers are doing, and not just film lovers, but film workers, film, you know, film, or not just filmmakers, film lovers. Because I really think that a film is the point where art and audience meet. And I can make a film and put it in my drawer. Like, is that a film, or is it just, you know, me kind of expressing myself to myself? At some point, these films have to connect with the people that we make them for and about. And so often our films are kind of languishing in drawers and on computers, and you know, kind of going straight to DVD, which is fine for some films, but some films, you know, deserve and should have a larger life. And I think that there's so many of our films. There's a sister sitting here that made a film. She tells me about the film, and I'm like, what? What did you make? It's about Macbeth, and like, it's like, Macbeth? Black people? Wait, what? What did you do? And she's like, but it's not literal. It's like this performance art. And I'm just like, wow, I want to see that. Like, everybody should see that, or have the option to see it. Right. And you know, how do you give that sister the option to see it, to have it presented? It won't be everyone's cup of tea, but you should be able to access it if you want to. And that's the disconnect that our filmmakers are having. You know, just being able to have it offered to people who might want it. And so that's where AFFRM stands to kind of fill that gap.
So how do people get involved with AFFRM? Like, what can we do, whether we're filmmakers, artists, audience scores?
Yeah,
how can people get involved?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have all different kinds of ways. Some people want to tweet and Facebook. Some people don't want to do any of that. They're just going to come and buy their ticket opening weekend. Some people, you know, just, you know, dynamic women that I'm looking at here, and men, a couple brothers, few brothers, need more brothers. Want to, you know, want to get their hands dirty and roll up their sleeves and actually organize. There was a sister that tweeted yesterday that she was in here setting up chairs and putting lights together. All these PhillyCAM people that are donating their time. We call them the AFFRM Mavericks, like people that go above and beyond. We have, one thing Philly should be proud of is our national Mavericks captain, the person who kind of shepherds and guides all of the volunteers nationwide, New York, Seattle, DC, Houston, LA, is based right here in Philly, Nina Ball. Right. And so it's, so, you know, it's definitely, you know, the leaders, you know, Mike meeting with the Mavericks that Nina shepherds, and then the filmmakers coming with the films, but the audience has to come in order for it all to work. And so the question is, how do we let more of our people know that these films exist, that it's okay to watch films that you might not see commercials for. It's okay to watch films that don't have music videos. It's okay to go see a film that, you know, you may not see the actor on Jay Leno, but it's just as good, it's just as valuable. We're trained to think those films are better than these films, and it's all a setup. And so, you know, we really have to kind of dismantle that setup and really like become very just independent in what we believe our taste is. Because a lot of times our taste is predicated on what people tell us is good taste. So anyway.
Yeah, well, you've done an amazing job, and it's been less than 2 years since the first AFFRM release. And AFFRM and Ava, you're clearly at the vanguard of what's happening right now in African American independent film. Can you talk just a little bit about the importance of supporting these movies in theaters, especially on opening weekend, especially on the first 2 days of release?
Yeah. I mean, you know, a AFFRM film show, you know, are exhibited in theaters like any other film. It's not a screening where you just go at 7 o'clock on a Friday. You know, you could see it at a matinee, you could see it at 2, you could see it at 5, you could see it, some theaters have a midnight show, it's gonna be playing on Wednesday, you walk in there at 5, it's gonna be playing. So it's just like Avengers 19 or whatever else, you know, we book it in and we work very hard. And that's, you know, so much of what I spend my time on is the relationship with the chains, the exhibitors, the art houses. It's the whole other business side of what AFFRM does. And, you know, to kind of bleed and sweat to get the film in theaters and to not have anyone in that 11 o'clock Friday show takes my bargaining power away for the next film. You know, I've heard on the phone, well, they didn't come for Restless. They didn't come for Restless City. so we're not going to book you for middle of nowhere, and there's nothing I can say. You know what I mean? And so it's not to say go see films that you're not interested in, but you know, there's something about the brand, there's something about the company, there's something about the idea that needs to be supported in order so that we can put out things that you may like. Help us put out things, period, by showing up. It's really important. Yeah.
Well, thank you both. We have time for Q&A, and we'll do that when we come back.
Excuse me, hey! Hey, excuse me, sis. I thought that was you.
Hi.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you.
Oh, it's fine.
You know what? I don't even know your name.
Ruby.
Ruby, I'm Brian.
It's my sister and my nephew. This is Brian, one of the drivers from my bus. Oh, okay.
Nice to meet you. You know what? Why don't y'all come on over? We got some Phillips barbecue, got some cold beer.
We were just heading out.
What? You working tonight?
Yes, I am.
But you work every other night.
How do you know that?
Because I take you home.
I meant the exact days.
Brother's got a good memory. What can I say?
Well, I worked on yesterday, but I picked up a shift on tonight, too.
On yesterday, on tonight. What is that? Alabama? Georgia. Is it Georgia?
Montgomery, I guess.
The Gump.
Wait, what you know about the Gump?
I know a little something about around that way. I was stationed in Maxwell down there.
Our dad was stationed down there for a minute. That's crazy, how rude.
All right. Well, I guess I'll see you on Tuesday.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Night, Nick. Sorry. Nikki. Night, Nikki. Night, ladies.
Good night.
That was a clip from the new movie Middle of Nowhere, which is going to be in theaters on October 12th. It's opening here in Philadelphia at the UA Riverview. And you can check out AFFRM.com, Reelblack.com for more information on theaters around the country. We are opening up the floor now for questions. We have Carl.
Yes.
Question 4.
Ava, congrats on your work. Outside of chains, what other kinds of venues have you found your screenings? Have your screenings been successful in, or have you done? And then also, are you guys going to emphasize or put work also into other kinds of platforms like VOD and DVDs and stuff like that?
Great questions, thank you. Yeah, we work with chains, so AMC, Rave, Regal, Landmark. I think it's really important that we kind of look at chains to start, because so many of our folks around the country are not used to or they're not used to the art house cinema in their space. There's not a lot of product there for them. So when you ask some people in LA, do you know where the Limley is? It'd be like, the Whatley? But that's the art house cinema. And so it's, you know, it's about, and actually Greg Limley is a really great supporter of Black independent film, but there hasn't been the product to go through. And so, but they know where the Rave is, right? So starting out, we make sure that we're in an art house, in a chain. And then as we platform out, we use art house cinemas, but they come on in the second and third week. And yes, there's a major announcement happening within the next 3 weeks regarding major news that only the people watching this live stream and the people in this room know about VOD and Netflix and Redbox and DVD for AFFRM. It's really exciting. It's something we've been working on for about a year. And so it's all happening. Yeah.
I have a question. Just in terms, like, I just want to reinforce this point. Like, a lot of people there's a great marketing effort made for Affirm movies, and people know about the films, and then they read about them, and then they say, I'll wait for it. I'll wait for it to show up at Redbox. I'll wait for it to show up on Netflix. I'll wait for it to show up on BET. Why is it important that Affirm movies be in this theatrical distribution model as opposed to being a video company or any other sort of model for distribution?
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about my earlier comment about, some films go to direct to DVD, and that's not a bad thing. But I do believe that historically our films have been challenged to find screens. And part of our mandate with the firm is that we are going to give these films a theatrical release because they deserve to be seen in the original format as envisioned by the filmmaker. And beyond that, yes, you want to give, patrons and consumers a chance to see films in whatever format they like. Some people love Redbox, some people love to watch it at home on VOD. But ultimately, it's about, film. I really believe there's no filmmaker that doesn't want their film seen on the big screen. That's why, that's the primary format that it's meant to take place in theaters. There's something about that communal experience that taps into so wonderfully what the Black community is, sitting together in the dark, experiencing this story. And so we want to make sure, that's part of our mandate, to make sure that happens. But then also we know that we want to make sure that the life of these films is healthy after our Affirm release. And what I found is that the films are not going on to have as healthy an afterlife as I would like and our partners would like. So we've, decided to just really put some effort into, figuring out the rest of the platforms and making sure that these films can be seen anywhere in any way that people want to.
Awesome.
I see a good sister, one of our Affirm Mavericks, Marla, on the mic. How are you doing, sis? Hi.
So, there's some buzz I see on social media about you and Middle of Nowhere and Oscar, so that hadn't even been talked about. So just the fact of what you've done and to see that even possible. But for me, the responsibility of art is that it magnifies culture. And what I appreciate about Affirm is that it magnifies images that don't otherwise get seen. To that point, did you know that Middle of Nowhere would create this kind of mobilization as relates to reentry and prison reform and just kind of shed light on the predatory spending rates? And was that mechanism by design? Did it kind of happen? Was it from your marketing now vein, like this works? But just to applaud you for magnifying those things in culture and the social, accountability that you're taking with the firm on all levels.
Oh, thank you so much. I think all the firm films have, integrations into things that are important with our community. I mean, Kinyarwanda was talking a lot about, the genocide that happened where 1 million people were killed, slaughtered in 30 days, Black folk that, there's just not enough films made by, and we feel like we know that story, but we didn't. Restless City is, about the immigrant experience here in America. I Will Follow was about, grieving and how we deal with that in Black families. And so Middle of Nowhere, we kind of pulled out and are doing social action with our partners at Participant around, issues of incarceration and the families, the loved ones of the incarcerated. But it was never by design that there would be a campaign to come from the script when we were writing the script. The script is its own thing. It's the art, and it's the marketer that comes in later and says, oh, we should do this with it. The amazing thing about it that I'd love to share is that this film was screened for the FCC yesterday. FCC is the body that governs the phone companies, and basically they're these private phone companies that are really preying on the weak. They're preying on the families of the incarcerated. It costs $1.90 to call from North Carolina to Singapore for 15 minutes. $1.90. North Carolina to Singapore, 15 minutes. To call from North Carolina into a prison in North Carolina for 15 minutes costs $19.80. And this is across the board in every state. These are unregulated companies that are just allowed to prey on the families of the incarcerated. When you think about the reasons why most of these brothers are in the first place, it has to do with a lot of reasons around economics and empowerment within the community. So how could this be allowed to happen? So this film was screened for the FCC yesterday, and in Politico there was a big article. Commissioner Claiborne, who's a sister who heads one of the big committees on the FCC, saw the film, and the report was there were tears in the screening, and she's pledged to work on lowering these costs. So I think that there are amazing ways that film can actually stand for social change as well as entertain and have hot guys in tight shirts. I mean, I enjoy a guy in a tight shirt. Yaba enjoys a man in a tight shirt. We know Emayatzy enjoys a man in a tight shirt. So you can have it all. Yes.
Go ahead. You have a question?
Sure. My name is Janine, and I run an arts organization called Little Filmmakers. And what we do is we expose young people to the art of making movies. A lot of our kids are young writers, they're young directors, editors, managers on the set. I guess my question is, how do we keep those type of young people exposed to independent media and African American films where their story is not necessarily being told in Hollywood, but I don't think they have that exposure to independent films such as the work that you do. And for our young people, we try to distribute the films as much as we can as possible around the city and surrounding areas to give them that ability to reach out to other young people. So I guess my question is, how do we incorporate youth into the whole independent film media, African American independent film media?
Thank you.
Talk about? Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's key, I think it's crucial, and I think starting young and letting people know a lot about what I talked about before, the training in terms of what is a real film is really important. I mean, we have to take our children to these films, we have to take them to Black film festivals, we have to take them to films and expose them to art outside of what the mainstream is serving up on a platter. It is the farmer's market to the Hollywood supermarket, you know what I mean? You have to take them to the place where it's going to be hand-grown with love and it's fresh. And that's not going to come when it comes through a factory. And so that needs to start with our children and making sure that they understand that there's value in this just as much as there's value in the thing that's splashy and shiny. I think it's super crucial what you're doing. And so I just applaud you for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, Emmy, I mean, that brings up a good point. I mean, I imagine this has been your dream for quite some time. I mean, and you're basically from Philly, if you want to tell people about that. Like, how did you get started in this? And
I'd always loved acting, you know, from about 14 or so, you know, I would do summer theater. I was involved in everything, just as a kid, but I never considered it as a career until later when I looked back and was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I said, oh, I love that. Why can't I do that? I can't do that. And then that was that, you know, and my parents were always very supportive, you know, but it was having those different kinds of programs like Little Filmmakers around, you know, I was involved in some of those kinds of things. And even now in California, I work with some organizations, you know, that help kids make films and see them through to the end, you know. So I believe it's very important, and you cannot replace, there's nothing to replace having kids be able to do things themselves, you know, and they can see the final product of their hard work, you know. And so I can really say that I'm a product of that because I loved it since I was a child. Yeah.
Awesome.
Another question? Yes.
Hi, my name is Teresa Akana. And my question to you guys, I love what you're doing, the images that are being presented. I mean, I moved out to LA years ago because I was sick of the images that I was seeing on television, and I wanted to do something about it. And I know you guys are doing that. I'm very impressed. But I want to know if television is in your future. I mean, this may be premature, but some people don't get out to the movies. It's easy for kids to watch TV or whatever, but we want to see more images like this on television, and I just want to know, is that on your agenda?
Is it on your agenda?
For me, television, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I ultimately really do love film, you know, but I don't, for me, it's just the desire to act, and however, you know, form that may take. You know, I love the stage, I love TV, I love it all, you know, so I don't discredit anything, yeah.
Yeah. I think we have time for one last question.
Maybe two.
Maybe two.
I'll try and make it quick. Thank you so much for everything. I feel like AFFRM has been very personal for me as a filmmaker, as a Black woman filmmaker. So the first time I heard about Ava and your work, I began sharing on Facebook and all of that, and I'm seeing this movement grow rapidly. And it seems that the films are becoming more personal to more people in more communities, particularly with the Mavericks now all being involved. We're all telling our stories about how we personally relate to the film and the themes. So I'm wondering if the social change aspect of what's going on here is something that you think could help to add some momentum to the movement. And if you've thought about maybe having some maverick organizations as a part of how things build moving forward, so that it's not just like the individual mavericks, but you have these social change organizations who are committed to bringing groups and things like that to the theaters.
No, it's a great idea to formalize that. We've been doing some of that. Like I said, all of the films we feel have themes and pieces and elements that can apply to kind of social action campaigns. So whether it's immigration or bereavement or incarceration, but they've not been formalized. So I think it's an amazing idea. I mean, it seems like with each film, the new ideas kind of come in, and we analyze what we can do with our 2 pennies and what we can do with all of our passion, and we get it done. I really feel like with each release, and you can tell me if you agree, that there's been an addition to the core idea of AFFRM, some expansion, some blossoming. So I think that's wonderful. I mean, in most of the cities, we call them, they're supporting organizations that support and give that by groups. But it's a good idea to formalize it, something we should think about.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of love for AFFRM. The films are all quality, and it's very easy for organizations to get behind. And it's always great for if someone's watching and they have a group and can bring a bus.
Contact us.
To the thing.
Yeah.
Or if it's just an individual who's interested in volunteering or being a part of AFFRM, even if they don't live in a key city that we're being released in, they can still become a member or help us out in some respect. And we have Nina Lears.
Let me say one last thing about that. Just if you're not in a city, if you're watching this on live stream and you're not in a city, or you know someone who's not in one of our opening cities, we have our DigiMavs, our digital mavericks, headed up by this beautiful sister named Malika Mose, who, she's, overseeing campaigns for people in like Iowa and Denver, and making sure that they use their social media voice to get the word out. So
we've got like 1 minute, but can you fill us in on how we can become part of this?
Definitely, you
Who
can.
are you?
Who am I? My name is Nina Ball. I also go by Respect in Philly here. I am the city captain for Philadelphia, interim for New Jersey and New York, and I am the national volunteer or maverick captain of AFFRM. So yeah, thanks guys. So you can go to affirm.com/volunteer to volunteer your time in any way possible. So like Ava mentioned, if you are not in one of the markets that we are opening up for and you just want to lend your ear, your fingers, your thumbs to the movement, go to www.affirm.com/volunteer. It's a very exciting movement. We're creating culture every day. Shout out to all of our AFFRM Mavericks who are holding it down, from Marla to Isis to Stephanie to Candace to Charvon to Jazz to everyone that's really came out today. It's because of the Mavericks that we are able to have such traction and to get the word out and tell our friends and word of mouth. So get excited, tell friends, tell your church group, tell your mama, tell everybody to come out. It's a really exciting movement. We have Keith in Atlanta, Keith Hill. We have Jeff Kirkman is our DC captain. We have Diamond McNeil in Los Angeles. And we have, who am I missing? They're going to kill me.
DC? Oh, we got him.
DC. Seattle.
Atlanta?
Well, we don't have a captain for Baltimore yet. And so we're looking for all different ways to grow. Yeah, we definitely have an opening. So we are looking for leaders, mavericks, independent thinkers to be a part of the team. And it would mean the world to us and to this movement. So thanks.
So like in the words of the great poet Smokey Robinson, like a snowball rolling down the side of a snow-covered hill is growing. I mean, AFFRM is growing. We're doing some great things here in Philly and across the country. Right. October 12th is the date. And Yaba.
October 12th is the date. I heard through the grapevine that Omari Hardwick might be around.
There might be a brother, coming through town with some tats, some guns, the good kind of guns.
Okay. I got
coming through. No, he's a great brother. He's a poet. He's an artist. He's an actor extraordinaire, and he's coming to Philly to support October 12th at UA Riverview. So.
And real quick, what's next?
I'm shooting a documentary for ESPN about Venus Williams and her feminism and activism.
Right.
Yeah.
Where can we find you?
I have 2 films coming up that are just being finalized. just yet, but they will be coming out soon.
They're big.
Yeah.
They're big.
Yeah.
Look
They
forward
are.
to seeing you. Thank you both so much.
Thank
for
you,
coming.
Yaba. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Thank you, guys. for coming.
Keep it up.